This is the EASYTEST Mega, the most comprehensive unit in the EASYTEST range. It's an RCD tester and a portable appliance tester, with the added ability to perform both static and run tests on appliances. Like all the EASYTEST range, this alarm is an inbuilt safety feature, telling you there's a wiring fault in the 240 volt main supply. Therefore any tests you perform simply won't work. Unplug and find somewhere else to work. If all is well, the display lights up and suggests that you should select a test. Selection is via the rocker switch. In the off position, the Mega can test RCDs by pressing the start button, and, using the connections on the bottom of the Mega, do static appliance tests. Insulation resistance being checked at 250 or 500 volts as selected by these push buttons. In the on position, the connections at the top are used for leads and run tests on appliances, and just like a PowerPoint, the outlet is active, enabling a run test to be performed on the appliance. In appliance testing mode, the Mega is continuously testing, performing all tests simultaneously. You can see that the top line says we have an earth resistance fail. That's because there's no earth connected. In fact, the display will switch to tell you to connect an earth probe to the conducting part of the appliance to check this earth fault. Here's the probe. It's used to test earth integrity for Class 1 devices, and to provide an earth for Class 2 appliances to enable testing for leakage currents. Until we've tested an appliance, it's best to assume that it's got a fault until we've proved that it hasn't. So to be on the safe side, firmly clamp the test probe onto any exposed metal you can find on the appliance before you start the test. The bottom line is displaying the results of tests for leakage current, either for Class 1 or Class 2. Doesn't matter which one we have, it's testing for both anyway. The lights above the display will light up the moment you plug in an extension lead, giving you an instant readout of the correct polarity or not, as the case may be. Well, that's the basics. What would you like to test? We're going to test an earthed appliance. That's Class 1. So we'll need a test probe to check the earth. In fact, the procedure is the same for Class 1 and Class 2. The difference lies in the interpretation of the results. The Class 1 appliance in this case is a toaster, and it's safer to assume that the appliance may have a fault until we've tested it to prove otherwise. So firmly clamp the earth probe onto any exposed metal we can find, check that the appliance and the Mega are both switched off, and plug the toaster into the top socket of the Mega. Switch on the EASYTEST Mega, and immediately we see that the earth resistance is tested and passed. And on the bottom line we have a Class 1 pass, indicating that there's no leakage current, or if there's any, it's below the 5 mA safe level set by the Australian standard. Switch on the appliance, check that we still have a Class 1 pass, and the appliance passes. Test completed. It's that easy. Switch off, unplug, and tag it. We're going to test a double insulated, that's Class 2 appliance, in this case a heat gun. In fact, the procedure is exactly the same whether it's Class 2 or Class 1. So let's go. Firmly clamp the earth probe onto any exposed metal we can find. Check that the appliance and the Mega are both switched off, and plug in the appliance to the top connections of the Mega for run tests. Switch on the Mega, and if there's no leakage current, it'll show as a Class 2 pass. So far so good. However, some faults only show up when the appliance is live, especially those with moving parts like motors. So switch on the heat gun and check that we still have a C2 pass. Note that we have a Class 1 earth resistance fail, but then this isn't a Class 1 device and there's no earth, so we can ignore that. Unclip the test probe and check any other bits of exposed metal that might possibly be live. As long as we have a C2 pass, there's no leakage current and the test is complete. It really is that easy. Switch it all off, unplug it and tag it. We've finished. We're going to test an extension lead. In this case it's a distribution board. So plug that into the top socket of the Mega. And we'll need the IEC lead to complete the circuit. Switch the power on and the Mega immediately shows all the results, all the tests having been completed simultaneously. And as long as it's plugged in, it's continuing to measure. The lights indicate that the polarity is correct. If the wiring was wrong, the fail light would show up. The top line of the display tells us that the earth resistance is less than 1 ohm, So we have a Class 1 earth resistance pass. And although an extension lead is an earth device, the standard requires the more stringent leakage current test at Class 2 level, which is less than 1 milliamp, and that passes. Test completed, well, for a standard extension lead, but since this has several outlets, we'd best check them all. And as long as we have passes on the lights and both lines of the display, the device passes. Now the test is completed. It's that easy. Switch off, unplug it, and tag it. Appliances that are working correctly present a balanced load to the mains. That is, the current on the active and the neutral are the same. The job of the EASYTEST Mega, in RCD mode, is to pretend to be a faulty appliance and provide an unbalanced load, which of course will trip out any RCD protection on the building's main switchboard. To prevent this, most RCD testers would need an isolation transformer, but the Mega has a better way. The RCD we're about to test is a residual current device safety switch, but it's also an extension lead, and the Mega lets us test it as an extension lead. So plug it into the top of the Mega, and we'll use the IEC patch lead to complete the circuit. Switch it on and select Portable Appliance Test Mode, and instantaneously the EASYTEST Mega performs all the tests for extension leads simultaneously. We appear to have a failure, but some RCDs switch off when the power goes off. So hit the reset button and check the test results. The lights indicate that the polarity is correct, the earth resistance is below 1 ohm, and the leakage current is below that set by the standard for Class 2 devices, so now we can test the safety switch. Press the self-test button and everything should go off. OK, so that works. Now it's time to reset and let the EASYTEST Mega put that unbalanced load on it and measure the switch times. Press the start button and a 15 milliamp load is applied for 1/3 of a second. If it fails to trip, that's a pass. So the Mega automatically applies 30 milliamps and measures the time taken to trip. It should be under 300 milliseconds. In this case, it's 24. That's a pass. Since the RCD is an electromagnetic device, it's industry best practice to reverse the phase angle and check the switch times when the current's flowing in the opposite direction. So the Mega automatically changes phase by 180 degrees every time you press the button. So reset the RCD and perform the test again. Record the results at 0 degrees and 180 degrees and you'll keep the auditors happy. In the event that in either case the trip time exceeds 300 milliseconds, it'll simply show as a fail. Test completed. It really is that easy. Switch it off, unplug the lead and tag it. We've finished. When assessing the insulation of an appliance, the Mega enables us to check either leakage current in a run test or to check insulation resistance by applying a voltage across the insulation. Since an insulation resistance test will not power the device, that's what we'll use to get an initial assessment of more aggressive equipment like this big angle grinder, where it's more comfortable and possibly physically safer than to do a run test. Although it is industry best practice to perform a run test on any device with moving parts. Just like the run test, we need the probe for an earth connection, so connect it to the metal of the tool. It's safe to clip it there since the tool won't actually be spinning. Ensure that the rocker switch is off and, remembering that for this test we use the bottom connections of the Mega, plug in the appliance. Switch on the power, and at this stage the earth continuity is checked, and for a Class 1 device earth resistance is shown as pass or fail. However, since this grinder is Class 2 we can ignore it. Press the 500 volt button and the Mega first checks for continuity, that is, a complete circuit. In this case it's failed, suggesting a run test is needed. However, it's only because we've not switched on the tool. So close the switch on the tool and try again. Continuity is OK now, so the insulation is checked, and it passes. The test will automatically terminate in 30 seconds, or press the 500 volt button again to stop it now. Test completed. It really is that easy.